Hi, I'm Sam and I'm going to be talking to you about Digital Citizen. It is a group show of 10 artists, and what makes this exhibition really special is that everyone that comes in to see it, this will affect how you think about the internet. We live in an age where the internet is everywhere and it's sort of inescapable at this point. So this sort of really raises questions. Every work in the show makes you sort of question what it is that you're looking at online or whether what you're looking at is real. So it's a really super interesting one, so we'll get into some of the works and talk about them separately. So the first work I'm going to talk about is Citizen X by James Bridle. So although this exists as sort of a physical object in the gallery of the laptop and the projector, it's essentially just an extension that you can download, and it tells you when you type a website in where in the world you're accessing. It's talking about citizenship in what you access rather than where you're born, and citizenship that's sort of stateless and fluid, so it changes with your browsing experience. And wherever people access through the day, it makes up this flag in the corner, which is your digital citizenship for the day. And why this is interesting especially is the NSA in America obviously can't survey everyone, but if you're accessing 80% of some other country and 20% American, that brings red flags, and that there is actually sort of a means to survey you from that. So one of the other things that Citizen X does is lead you to think about fake news, which brings us on to this work. This is called Fake News Fairy Tale, and it's by Kate Stonehill. And although it's presented in the way of a fairy tale, it is actually a real story, and it's around the 2016 American election. So essentially a group of teens in Macedonia found that they could get paid quite a lot for making fake news, and every click they got paid a little more. And it developed to the point where they would get paid more per click for discrediting Hillary Clinton than they would for discrediting Trump. So this is why fake news is sort of a widespread term now. It all erupted at that point. And it also brings into questions that we'll tackle throughout some other works of anonymity. A lot of people think that because they're behind a computer screen, they can be whoever they want to be or be anonymous completely. So this piece is by Alan Warburton, and it's called Trollolologram. It's a little bit more lighthearted than some of the things in the show, but it's really interesting in the way that we think of ourselves transforming behind the computer. So from one angle, you might see a teenage boy just behind his sort of laptop screen, and then as you go around, it turns into this sort of internet troll that we all talk about when we sort of dehumanize the people that are causing this sort of controversy on the internet. And then as it moves again, it transforms into sort of a robot-y looking character, like a keyboard warrior. So again, we're talking about anonymity and how people think, although they're just alone in their bedroom, they are becoming this sort of warrior and they can take on the world, when if it was face-to-face, that wouldn't be the case, and a lot of things that are said on the internet wouldn't be said at all. And it's just putting it into sort of a visual way of seeing that people really sort of engage with when they can sort of walk along and see it transform. So this piece is by Peter Hamner. It's called Plato's Lair, and upon walking into the gallery, you just see this sort of huge wooden structure, and you can hear some noises coming from inside it. And there's actually sort of 3 windows on the way around, and visitors are invited to sort of move the curtains and peer in, upon which they'll see sort of like a community of bird-like people. But when you look closer, there's a lot of people sort of dressed in military uniforms at the potential exits within. It leads you to question sort of the truth. So for the sort of bird-like villagers within, their truth is that is everything. Sort of there is no outside because they're stopped from accessing outside, which sort of brings parallels into sort of regimes such as North Korea, where everything's controlled, and it sort of leads you to believe that there is sort of no way of knowing everything. So the last piece that I'm going to talk about is called On Exactitude in Science, and it's made up of these 2 parallel screens. So the film on the left-hand side is from 1983, and it's called Koyaanisqatsi. It's an 83-minute film that's sort of talking about the Anthropocene and humans' effect on the world and whether it's sort of irreversible at this point. Now on this side, this is a recreation shot by shot of the 1983, but this is all within the video game engine of Grand Theft Auto 5. So this is all captured within the game. And the reason it's called On Exactitude in Science, it's the name of a chapter of a book that talks about a town that wants a map so detailed that they create a one-to-one scale of their town, so it then takes over their town because they want no detail left out. And it's sort of creating a parallel with this game engine, because this video game is so detailed that you can create a one-by-one replica of this 83-minute film. And again, it mirrors the sort of questions that the first one raised about the human's effect on Earth, but through the sort of digital plane. A lot of people think of the physical world and the digital world as sort of separate, but a lot of this exhibition sort of brings them back together and starts making people think of them as one thing rather than two separate things, which I think is really important in the wider context. But it gives a lot of people something to think about and something to experience and take away from the exhibition, which I think is really great.